Okay, I believe we are live now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good.
Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me?
All right, yes, I can hear you. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of the great Amazonian family, friends of justice and freedom across the world, welcome to another powerful edition of the Peaceful Permanent Solution Show. Today, we are truly honored to have with us a man whose name resonates with courage, conviction, and compassion. A voice for the voiceless, a defender of the oppressed, and a bridge between nations. Our distinguished guest is none other than His Eminence, Archbishop Dr. Chang Michael Abongwa, a man whose leadership transcends borders and whose mission burns with the fire of liberation and peace. He is the leader of Africa Freedom Advocacy, a founding member of DATIP. DATIP stands for Dynamic Alliance to Implement the Peaceful Permanent Solution, an international human rights high commissioner, and a global peace ambassador. His Eminence stands as a beacon of hope, not only for British Cameroon, but for all who believe that justice, freedom, and dignity are universal rights. From the heart of Latin America, where he continues to champion the cause of human rights and Amazonian recognition quest, His Eminence has become a symbol of faith in action, a man uniting spiritual wisdom with revolutionary purpose. Please join me in giving a warm, thunderous welcome to His Eminence, Archbishop Dr. Chang Michael Abongwa of British Cameroon, the global voice for peace, freedom, and human dignity.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Marcel Jeff. I am highly honored to be on your show, the Peaceful Permanent Solution Show, this day. Thank you for the compliments, the introduction. I can say it's much more than what a servant would like to go by. Thank you anyways, fellow viewers. I bring you salutations and the peace and the grace of God wherever you are at the range of my voice.
Wonderful. Thank you, Your Eminence. So before we begin, Your Eminence, is there anything in your introduction that I missed? Feel free to add. People might be seeing you for the first time. People on this platform may not know you or know what you've been doing, especially with respect to the Peaceful Permanent Solution. If there's anything on your revolutionary resume or political resume that you'd like to add for our viewers out there, please feel free to do so.
Thank you. I think that I'm not a new hand in the cause for truth, freedom, and the liberation of suffering people across the continent. For various liberation movements or outfits like the interim governments, other outfits. I may not be as strange to some of them, but I will reserve some of those for later within the show or in our next episode. What I'm so interested about for now is that I am a servant to all. And I will not want somebody to reduce me to a servant of a particular denomination or a single liberation movement. Thank you.
Wonderful. On that note, We'll get right into business. This is a revolution. We have no time to waste. So our first question we would like to know from you, in your own words, what is PPS? Many people have heard PPS out there. If you don't mind, I'll be mixing between English and our lingua franca, which is pidgin, from time to time. So many people out there may or may not have heard about PPS. What is PPS? Like I always talk about, there is this, many people out there might not know I'm from Kumbo. I'm in Ntokman. So I always use my favorite lady of a village in Tok called Kikaikelaki. Kikaikelaki is where Kardinal Tumi is from, late Kardinal Tumi. So if you are a woman out there in Kikaikelaki selling, selling pears on the side of the road, oranges on the side of the road. So you hear something from America or from Europe, they call and say PPS, PPS. So the PPS now wait. Peaceful permanent solution, it means safety.
That is fine. My country people then, make I come down first, talk with we from the language of the heart. That PPS when a 3 letter them so. It talk about peace. It talk about something where you go fit stay so it go finish. Because that thing where fit stay, it go finish, not the thing where it go solve problem. So when we come for this particular show and this PPS, we talk say, now, because a problem be there, where we don't struggle for look for the way they fit solve that problem, and different people, they don't try different way them for solve the problem, and I know if name all of them, I think go right for with Papa, my colleague of blessed memory, His Eminence Cardinal Christian Tumi, where if you don't try different way for system they solve that problem then. And the way them way we don't consider them, they not be solve the problem. So if you don't bring up some other way where they fit solve that problem, and it be like say government not be last green, say me bring that way. That way, if it resonate too with Sokeka, Bernard, and Fon Long, but it not be finally solve that problem. Now the thing that way that problem is shift, and they don't notice this problem where they talk about we country and about we identity since from the 1950s to the early 1960s. And now since that time, they been struggle for solve them, and the different way where they struggle for solve that problem, it no work out. So we look now at the way where if they solve that problem now, we begin the no wake up can face the same problem. Now you where they call and say PPS. We get na 2 way then one now say, me we know the work at the bake. Every day we'll go beg money door for sleep for a veranda. Me we be we own tongue. She don't for the way they call and say independence. Now one that way go give it peace. If you want for talk for man, you come out for your own tongue, you go talk for you come back for your own house. If that one, we not forget that one, another way be say, make we talk for that way neighbor them or that way other people them, make them agree say, they go give it the choice, where they not go force winner for force them. Say if we want for day with them, we go day with them for inside their house. We not go day for their veranda, where rain go dey fall, it's also the bid we. If we choose for sleep for veranda, now we choose them. If we choose, say me they give it small grass, me we go, or bamboo, me we go tie we own house. Now we don't choose and so. Now the 2 things then that way they for inside. When you wrap this in English, it will simply mean the 2 things that have been surveyed to kind of bring a solution that will be lasting. And of course, that is channeled on that, pipeline of peace and not of war. It is 1, getting the independence of the former British Cameroon people by making that people where they be recognized we since 1961. For April 21st, 1961, make that people them make they support that with independence where they be recognized and for United Nations General Assembly. So that make we stand for this. If they not agree that one, because the talk say it not be completed, if they can't accept outright recognition of our independence and restoring that independence that was stolen or that for which we have been feel annexed, then we should ask our aggressor or our neighboring partner or those who are giving us a special status to not decide which status they are giving to us, but to allow us to freely decide that one by allowing all options on the table: independence, a federation or union with the Republic of Cameroon in what is called an exclusive referendum, where it will limit only the people where they be suffering or where they get the grievances, those who have those grievances, to chart out, determine their future. This is where the inclusivity is respected. So we do not, at the first sight of the peace plan paper, eliminate, reduce, or tag anybody as enemy. This is the peaceful approach that the Dynamic Alliance for the implementation of this permanent peaceful solution have summarized for everyone to digest and endorse. Thank you.
All right, that was a wonderful answer. So I will come back to something you mentioned there, or to make sure that our viewers understand very well what the PPS is or what it isn't. So we'll come back to that. The idea of whether are we having a binary exclusive or are we having a multiple choice referendum? Meaning, for example, are you joining Cameroon? Are you staying in Cameroon? Are you getting your sovereignty by staying with Cameroon? That is in what was voted in the plebiscite. What was voted in the plebiscite was a confederation, or are you getting independence? So we'll come back to that, but let's move on. So what problem is PPS out to solve?
This is a very important question. Thank you for the question, Comrade Jeff. You know, there are people, like we say in our adage, you do not get to rush out there when you are called out to be sent to show that you are an obedient child. You rather have to stand and listen to the instructions before you go executing them. If you are called to be sent somewhere and to show that you are obedient, you just keep rushing to that place without knowing what you're going to do there. At the end of the day, you will think you are rendering service and you may not be considered the obedient child that you claim you are. So the problem that the permanent peaceful or the peaceful permanent solution is out to solve is the problem of annexation. What does that mean? It means that there is an identity crisis. And this identity crisis has helped the other party to annex a people who had identity and who came into a confederation because of their identity. This identity invoked international instruments or organizations to sit and deliberate on these two identical territories and communities. That is the problem we are out to solve. How do we solve this problem? We cannot solve this problem, by selling out our identity, because the way our forebears stepped out of the Eastern House of Assembly in Enugu, Nigeria, without the use of guns, is the way we could have continued this problem solving without losing the number of thousands, from 40 to 70,000 souls gone, when our forefathers, with the little exposure they had in those days, solved the similar problem by staging a walkout without bloodshed. Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying that we could have solved this problem just like Indele led the team out of Nigeria in Enugu, in the eastern region there. And they came and assembled in Boya and started a government without the use of guns, that we should have continued in that path. And I mean, I don't want to add more to your answer, but I think from Ngozi Dinka, which we're about to go to the next, we'll hear more tonight. Von Ngozi Dinka was going in that direction and was actually winning. Nobody died. People remember that, right? Not a single person died. All right. Next question. How inclusive is DATIP? DATIP means Dynamic Alliance to Implement the Peaceful Permanent Solution. How inclusive is DATIP? Who can be a member of DATIP? Who cannot be a member of DATIP? Go ahead.
DATIP is intended to be all-inclusive. The Dynamic Alliance is not a static alliance. It has to change, it has to grow. By the word dynamic, we mean that we can improve. We have not written anything on stone that cannot be erased, that cannot be adjusted. If we are following a route map, we do not want to eliminate any person who had hitherto participated in charting the course or in becoming the voice of the voiceless, who for now, because of one reason or the other, feel slighted, discouraged, and have actually withdrawn or are playing the watch and see position now. So it is all inclusive, and for the information of the general populace, a number of movements are already, endorsing our permanent peaceful solution and are part and parcel of that. You have the Aspire movement, you have the Africa Freedom Advocacy, you have the international, you have a good number of them that are endorsing, and we want everybody to endorse and to be a part of this. Share it as your desire to see us solve our problem within the shortest time possible by, at the end of this very show, enlist as an individual who has found a reason to identify with this peaceful permanent solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that answer. I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to what you're saying, because there are many people, especially out here in the diaspora, who are already playing what you're saying, wait and see. Some are already feeling discouraged, especially with what is going on back there. So many people can definitely relate to what you're saying. Some of them, in the course of wait and see, are now focusing towards watching what is happening in La Republique with Issa Chiroma Bakari. So I'm sure you'll have chance to weigh a little bit more on that. So moving on, why the choice of the Republic of Ambazonia, led by His Royal Highness Von Ngozi Dinka? Among the many liberation movements out there are many liberation movements, SCNC, this and that. Why the Republic of Ambazonia? Can you make that case to that my mami for Kikakelaki, where they sell what we call in Lamso, Miondo? What will you tell that woman? Why the Republic of Ambazonia and not SCYL of Kwanga or Egg of Sea?
Excuse me to say that this question lingers in the minds of many, and sometimes His Royal Majesty Von Ngozi Dinka might not have the patience or the time to answer this question, as well as some of the Republic of Ambazonia leading figures. And so we do not want to pass across in this presentation as if other outfits have been disregarded or disannulled in order to project the Republic of Ambazonia of Gojidinka. Rather, we say everyone should feel concerned. The notion of the peace plan paper in the context of Cameroon would have been relevant during the negotiation and the discussions that surrounded the country's independence and unification. And you do not think that His Royal Majesty from Gojidinka was there. You do not want to claim that a Republic of Ambazonia was there. And so we cannot single-handedly or unilaterally choose a Republic of Ambazonia and project as the only ones who would have opted for that. You know? And so we are bringing sense. We want for Brigham, make we know, say, some people then get their reason why they like for hear the name from Gojidinka. Others get their reason why they want to hear the name EML Endele. Others get their reason why they get for hear the name Jongo Foncha. Others want for hear the name Bernard Nsogika Fonlon. Because now the big brand in there, they be there that time, people then want for hear the name of Augustine Ngom Jwa and their movements and how they be there for one party and how they be break for the party and how they be campaign for different places until a ruling government be defeated by an opposition government of Foncha, and then they transfer. How did they transfer the power from the president incumbent to an opposition leader? It was a peaceful transfer. It was noted in the annals of African history that Southern Cameroon, former British Cameroon, was the only continent that did democratic elections, self-governance in the 1950s, you know, without war. And so the notion of a peaceful permanent solution was entered into, but it didn't mature. That is why we are still struggling to solve those problems. So the exclusive choice of Royal Majesty from Gojidinka would rather be adding his own moves, his contribution to our freedom in the selfless way he did it, that earned him not only victory in some courts and payments, but also exile from a homeland, like it has happened with others. It happened, and other big legal minds in the nation, in the British Cameroons, did more. What is outstanding about Pa Gojidinka is that he scored a lot of strides while he was yet a people advocate. That is something that we should give him the credit that is due. He thought of maintaining the Republic of Ambazonia, or the government that was there from the 50s. No governmental structure would have gained international recognition without acknowledgement of sovereignty and self-determination put in practice. So these are the things and the truths that we ought to tell people down there, whether you're coming from the church, whether you're coming from a political party, or whether you're coming from a tribal lineage, where we now converge to have a common identity. I hope this has crushed the tip of the iceberg for us to not project one movement above the other, but to cite various issues. And I will not be doing justice as a man of truth if we will not acknowledge the work that Southern Cameroon's National Council did. Before Southern Cameroon's National Council did, we know that SCNC and NCNC, the National Council of Southern Cameroons and Nigeria, they also did a work. We know that Professor Martin Cha Ate did a work and had a different, liberation or governance structure. So we may be working here to unify and bring this common front that will get people from all across the board to endorse the permanent peaceful solution without giving it to a particular movement. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps us to work with peace with one another and keep feeling free to identify where we are making strides and our movements are making strides, even those who spoke only from the altar. Like he said, Eminence Cardinal Christian Tumi, like my humble self, like Desmond Tutu in South Africa, like Martin Luther and others, their liberation quest and channels, contributions were put in to the whole sum of the Bill of Rights that passed through Parliament and so on and so forth. And today, we are in the same context, and we should not, if we are not in the same, we are in a similar situation, and we can rally, harness our strengths with the spirit of love and non-violent moves to secure our sovereignty, which is what people fought for. And the third option was craftily dropped. It is not that it was never there, it was there. It was dropped or suppressed, as many other voices feel that they will abandon the cause because their own contributions are being suppressed. We should correct the errors of the past by giving opening to all to feel like it is our project. Thank you very much.
Finally, Your Eminence, I can see the inclusivity spirit there. You're really going out of your way to be very, very inclusive. So moving on, what are some of the temporary solutions that are out there? What are some solutions that people have advocated that you would like to share? I'm guessing besides the PPS, right? The PPS is, let me say, the latest game in town. Not so late, it's been around, but people don't know it. So let's just call it the latest game in town. Would you like to explore some other solutions out there that people have advocated? And maybe you can weigh in on what you think about those solutions vis-a-vis the PPS?
That's right. We want to say that there was a recent one. May we not just say that it mimicked the PPS, but it came out with this other nomenclature, PPP, the Permanent Peaceful Paper. Okay? The Permanent Peaceful Proposal, or the Peace Plan Paper. That is what some people brought. And then the APP is also another that came up. It is called the Ambazonia Peace Plan. If you look at them, the various proposals have contents. They created these contents and people bought into it, where you could not speak as a member of government in any of the interim governments. You could speak at the APP, Ambazonia Peace Plan. You could come there and speak, and whole governments, whole ministers, and whole others to book. So there was, therefore, some work of accountability. When we go back to the 2016, 2017, where you had 2016 with the Mancho BBC Coven Revolution, When you think about Acum Julius, was he a member of the ROA, Republic of Ambazonia? But was he not killed because of our freedom? Are the wounds not still there for the family to bear? That could be one of the first innocent blood, or you may call that a freedom fighter that angered the youth to come and stand, and say, if this one would die for this, we can also continue. We also have forebears. We have Chief Ayamba Otun. We have many hands have handled the SCNC. You have barrister, those who helped us at the Banjul to obtain the Banjul ruling, Dr. Ngwang Gumne, Kelvin. You still have Martin Tumasang and others who worked in that team. You have Carlson Anyangwe. Of course, Carlson Anyangwe has always been for a kind of a united platform, and he mentioned the dissolution of other interim governments years back. Now, we want to look at their efforts. We want to look at both.
Your Eminence,
yes.
If you don't mind me jumping in there, I remember something that Comrade Edwin mentioned in the last show. He mentioned something about a conference that took place in Capitol Heights. It's called the Capitol Heights Conference. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes, yes, come on, then I can go from there.
You were there. Okay, I was just asking in relation to that because many people are still intrigued by that. In fact, I was asking Comrade Edwin that maybe we need to have a show in which you explain exactly what happened in the Capitol Heights Conference. Why? Because my understanding about it, I wasn't there. As you know, I'm a Johnny Just Come, right? Like Akwanga says, I'm a Johnny Just Come. So I don't know these things. So perhaps you can help me understand it. My understanding is that, right, there was a conference that held in Capitol Heights in which everybody agreed and perhaps signed documents that say we were going to dissolve all these groups and have one. We are going to have a united front. But somehow what has happened is that the video of the Capitol Heights Conference has disappeared. What happened there? Nobody knows. Nobody talks about it. So is this a mystery? We're just supposed to forget like it never happened, or what? Can you throw more light into that? I'm sure our viewers are interested in knowing what happened.
Yes, our viewers, we owe a duty to our viewers, especially when we touch some people as Johnny Just Come. We have to tell them what we think we have done that they need to know. So that as Johnny Just Come, they can see how to better contribute than block them because we initiated a process. I will not claim presence in it, but I'll tell you that the series of conferences were held. None of those asked for outright dissolution of other movements. Rather, the agreement was that there were 7 leading movements. Morris of Comrade Bo Herbert, a Republic of Ambazonia of His Royal Majesty von Ngozi Dinka, Akwanga Joe, Akwanga Ebenezer's, I think SCYL at Saden, Cho Ayaba's Agofsi, SCNC of Pam Fongala and 4. What did I not mention? And then a few others, 7 in number. We were supposed to maintain those with a general secretariat, SCACO or whatever, and work with those so that any person who articulated any input could channel through one of these to the general secretariat. This is where the issue of government was already taken care of by the government of von Goji Dinka, Republic of Ambazonia. Because when we talk about restoration quests, I hope that is the other question you were supposed to bring. What are we restoring? We are restoring our sovereignty. We are restoring a government. You know, even if you call it confederation, if we want to restore that confederation, we will restore it on the basis of a two-state federation with equal status, not one other status giving another a special status. So these are the things that were supposed to have been upheld, but as you know, human evolution has it, the government that was already in existence was ignored, and a new interim government was formed. Because of the impetus, because of the quest for unity, which still stands today as our greatest challenge, people had to support that and say, we needed more people. And if we could have people like Comrade Sisiku Ayuk Tabe Julius, it should be a plus and not a minus. We should not hang on the position because of longevity. And this is how things had to change from, our brother, Deacon Tasang Wilfred, and so on, to others. There were others who were still working in hiding because they were yet holding state functionary positions in the government of the Republic of Ambazonia. So for it to go peacefully, we did not have to sell them. We had to continue to pray and defend them and their interests, not the rampant naming, burning, looting, killing, and so on that we now witness when you voice out. I know that my colleagues have already tapped me as a politician because we look up to good governance and we speak to the moral conscience of the society and the government. Others think that staying aloof will help them. But when the carnally minded get into positions of leadership and craft laws or bills, pass them into law, you are compelled to observe or be charged for treason or whatever. It doesn't matter what denomination you belong in. And so, my dearly beloved audience, I thank my host, who is helping us to see that the peaceful permanent solution is not out here to erase history, is not out here to deny. Why did we deny Bo Herbert's own proposal? He proposed the issue of reverting to our parliamentary system of governance that we inherited from our British colonial masters, which will distinguish us from the French, assimilation policy inherited from France. And they said, no, you don't become our prime minister. And yet they took the post of president, which followed the Francophone system of governance. And so when we talk about our Anglo-Saxon heritage, beloved, we need to be honest, we need to speak the truth. We need to tell Bo Herbert, we are sorry, we didn't accept your opinion, but your opinion is still counting till today. Because somehow, somewhere, I have sat in the office of Prime Minister of Republic of Ambazonia, and that is a subject for another day, because I said, if we are restoring what was taken from us, we need to tell the people what we are restoring. Are you restoring another federation? There was a split of hair on the issue of plebiscite or a referendum. 3 different interim governments had different opinions on it. And so those who were for multiple choice referendum and those who were for exclusive binary question referendum had another split. Did we need to have this? If we were clearly educated and came down to the people's level and tell them, say, that thing where they be make we vote be get for being a one. Northern Cameroon, they not be get for vote different, then me Southern Cameroon vote different because United Nations begin a one trust territory. From the League of Nations, the mandated territory, it include Northern and Southern British Cameroon. And so if they be question Britain for that time, Britain be talk say, we just did this for easy administration. We did not do this to reduce weight where United Nations begin with or fragment them. Then we were not the victims. How we not educate with people, tell them these truths. And is it not the church whose duty it is to speak the truth, defend the truth, and die for the truth? To say these truths out? What history have we taught our people? I've taught our church folks, I've taught my fellow clerics that we are doing injustice to issues that deserve justice. And we cannot, at the end of the day, just pray for peace and expect to see peace. So today, we want the peaceful, permanent solution to be endorsed by all, and we are calling that will be done on the basis of justice. And then when they see that justice has been done, the common man, where I know say plenty people, they go identify, they go endorse this permanent peaceful solution today because they don't hear the man of peace, the peace ambassador. He don't talk, he don't clear, he don't simplify them, and he don't bring in all people. And with the one for heal the hurts. Now you were at the talk say, even people where they did fear, say if we take, we right, we give, we right, say, I stand for outright independence, then you lost. You go now for a binary question where it talks, I mean, we put federation, union, and independence. Then you choose that one, say, we will go back for we choose state federation, you never still lost. But for you to stand out of the two permanent peaceful proposals, then you actually then are for a lost scenario. You then are for loss. And it talks, say, all the people where they don't die, need their blood go for nothing. All the people where they don't spend their salary, they work double shifts abroad for send something for ground. And all the people where they don't stay for bush, all this while, the check say with voice, if it be heard, and then me, we move that people then for bush, settling this thing for peace. You want to me, they continue for stay for bush. Even 5 francs we send them for them, they not go get where they feel chop that 5 francs with their families. It is painful, but this is the highest moment for my clergymen, for add their voices. I mean, their distinct voice, the side of truth for this matter. It go set we free. It no go delay because the other people where they say now for 2030. Why is it possible to solve this thing this year? Or latest early next year? And some people go to tell you, say, prepare in 2030 to have the thing solved. Why? Over to you.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Just to recap, a quotation that I think, I don't know if it's attributed to Martin Luther King, who said that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So you talked a lot about injustice. So moving on. So who has the monopoly or entitlement in this our recognition quest?
I want the people for understand straight. Say now you, the grassroots people, now you get the monopoly. Now you, sovereignty is with the people. Yes. Now you not be some organization. Well, if you talk, say, this organization don't decide. Some people are saying that these particular people, if we get our independence today, these particular people will not get back to ground zero. I mean, why? The people where there is bear the brunt, they there for ground. The level of brunt where they bear for outside, they different from the people where they face this thing daily. If you think that you have millions out there that you are chipping into the people on the ground have sovereignty. And the people on the ground cannot ignore the sacrifices that are being made by those of us in diaspora. Because when that sovereignty, that mass people already been moved out for 2016, 2017, September 22nd and October all that people, they be working for ground. The number where they be die for ground. Others where they be run for outside. They don't still pursue them for outside, go fish them out. Some they day for dungeons. Now, if we fit for solve our problem now, your voice for ground will be needed. No stand for the talk, say I'm not there for any movement. You there for a project, a permanent solution project where you come for peaceful way. In those that one, now you have sovereignty that, now your identity that. You know they suffer this identity crisis. Oh, I must call myself Southern Cameroonian, but not Ambazonian. Oh, I must call myself a Republic of Cameroon and not a British Cameroonian. All these identity crises we make use for the international instrument, and when we don't get them. We bring things where we don't get them, like again, under UNO State of Cameroon, from Professor Martin Shah. We bring things where we don't get them, like again, under from Goji Dinka. We bring where we don't get them, like again, under the first person where we declare, where they seize Radio Boya, it declare with independence. So how many people still call that person? If we are writing history, he should be removed out of history, right? No, we should bring them in. We should bring Papa Njo Mulali Tombe, where we talk say Njumba not be married. If we want for them say then Njumba don't turn married, we will get for consider a number of factors. And so for inside this thing, no man no go lose. Since we don't use now the platform where no man no go lose, now you get the monopoly. Me, I not be entitled say, oh, I am the founder of Africa Freedom Advocacy, so I have the voice and no one no. I'm a chairman of other liberation movements put together in other alliances where I feel bring them off for a different time. I bring all those ones for your show. And if they come and they prefer for talk only about their alliance bearing, after the alliance presentation, their independent movement will still articulate the things the way we don't agree for the alliance. It is spread far and wide. So division is not going to help us. Unity, a unified front, now it will help us. Delays not going to help us. For we for be unified, one man must start. One man must talk, say, this thing will be delayed. So now the opposite camp, now then they benefit. What does it cost me to say from today, my name is included as one of those endorser, one of that person who don't endorse that permanent, peaceful permanent solution? What is hindering you? Do you need a license? Do you need some monthly contribution? No. But if we have to exhaust our questions, I will leave it here for now and say, I am talking to your conscience as a servant of the Most High, because we do that with other nations. You see what is happening in Tanzania. You see what happened in South Africa. Desmond Tutu was begged to take a ministerial portfolio. He chose to deny. Others have been begged. Even governments, when they want to get relevance, they bring us, they bring the clergy into the scenario, into state institutions to give credibility. Why should our own people not give credibility to my presence and my push and to my call this day? Please come on with a few questions that are left, so that if any person is wanting to call and say, I have heard the thing, I am convicted, I want this show not to end without me being a part and a parcel of that, we will open the lines for you. Over.
Thank you so much, Your Eminence. I'm not sure we'll be able to take calls on this particular show, but subsequent shows will be able to do that because of time. We're trying to get through as many as possible because we are still in the education phase of this PPS. People are still wondering, what is PPS? What's PPS? So let's get on to the next question. Very important question. Or as a recap, I heard something, a theme of what your presentation today is about. It's about inclusivity. I get the sense that you are a very inclusive person. You are leave no person behind. You're not leaving anybody behind. Even the people that are saying that they are causing, quote unquote troublemakers, you say you are not refusing anybody even from coming to Ambazonia. Are you seeing the theme? You're very inclusive, very inclusive. You cite the names of different people, Ambazonians that have died, Ambazonians that are alive, and you give them due credit. So you're very inclusive. That is the spirit that we're looking for. And then you also mentioned unity. You mentioned unity. And unity is something that we need to work on. We need to work on getting united, right? And then you also mentioned no delay, no time for delay. I'm sure people are getting tired. Like, it's 9 years. 9 years. That's a long time, right? Almost a decade, right? Okay, so moving on. Next question. This is a very important one. People hear about referendum. Now, who is going to give you this referendum willingly? Now, something when person go give you wake up for morning time, they go UN go just come and say, now eat this, or France go just say, or Germany go say, or Nigeria, now who go, or La Republique go just willingly wake up one day say, massa, we don't fight so they will sorry na eat this. Go ahead.
It's a wonderful question there. And I'd like us to come to reality here. When we talk about a referendum, we do not want to give the people the impression that the referendum option is out there just waiting for you to pick. There are internal referenda conducted. International instruments will require the Republic of Cameroon to accept the issue of a referendum before it can be internationally organized by UN. But to sit there and deceive our people listening to me right now that the UN is ready to bring in a referendum, United Nations will not do that. They will not force a referendum or plebiscite under, in the truth of the Republic of Cameroon. So how can we push for that? That is why those who refuse outright independence and choose a referendum, a Brexit type of referendum where Britain exited the European Union or something stuff, will be hard labor. In my previous presentations in other fora, I have gone down the simple roots of referendum, and auto-generated referendum, I expatiated on that. It's something some people do not know, because the Republic of Cameroon is not ready anytime soon to accept a referendum, knowing that the underlying possibility or intention is to get people to repeat what Cardinal Tumi brought. 69% in the questionnaire that his team led, came out with 69% voting for outright independence, even though independence was not an option on the questionnaire. If you gave out the same questionnaire today, my beloved, many more people will have at least 79 to 89 repeating what His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi got in that survey. Don't tell me that there are people who want to vote to remain second-class citizens. Nowhere in the world the people who want to vote to remain second-class citizens, except that a referendum has addressed their independent status and gone for a confederation where equality will be expressed, or the federal system of governance will respect the resources tapped from particular states to be used to develop those states and citizens of those particular states. And only a minute percentage will be sent to support the central federal government. So governance must be understood, and a referendum must be understood. Nobody is giving you the referendum. If it has to be given, it has to be a work. And who are those who will work for that? Who are those who will work for this outright independence? How is our diplomacy going? We should know, therefore, that you do not go diplomatic by one single demand. I speak like a diplomat who has served in some of those interim governments and walked the corridors of power before resigning or every other thing. That, beloved, you need not only mental consent, but the battle of the mind has to be won. Identify with the two options so that our children can be freed from coming to walk the same, slave channels that we have walked, enslavement and annexation, for another 50 or 10 or 5 decades. If we do that now, then we have put in manpower. With that manpower, our prayers will intensify, our diplomacy will intensify, and then, the quicker we are going to get to the negotiation table with right and straight to the point people who will defend the best interest in a selfless manner that is worthy of any true leader that may be projected to the general community. God bless you.
Okay, great answer there. So we might not be able to get to all of our questions today, but there's one here that I'm sure is in the minds of people. How does respect for defense and diplomatic forces, how do you reconcile, how does the PPS reconcile defense and diplomatic forces?
One, the peaceful permanent solution is presenting peaceful approach to resolving the conflicts. That in itself can work and has worked in a few case scenario, but sometimes it takes longer time span to achieve that. As we don't have time to talk about that, we would want to say, whether you are in a war situation, in a conflict situation or not, once you assert your right to self-determination, you are supposed to think of a government that has a defense department. What is war? There is something that is called war diplomacy. War diplomacy is resorted to when peaceful diplomacy fails. So it is not when the peaceful diplomacy fails that you start training soldiers. And I do not want this to pass for a call to train soldiers. It is a clarion call to know what you are restoring. If you are restoring a government is supposed to have 3 organs or 3 branches: the legislative, the judiciary, and the executive. It is in the executive that you have peacekeeping forces or government or police in our own heritage. you know. And if you know that the issue of gendarmerie was imposed upon British Cameroonians because we had our mobile wing police that did all the work and comb out even all terrorists in those days and so on, under the premiership of Dr. Django Foncha. We will now know that we need human resources. We need to educate people to have this. And then in that government, there's no one government anywhere in the world that doesn't have the diplomatic arm or ambassadors, or in the Commonwealth nations, high commissioners. They are supposed to represent the president in other countries. So this is where you now see, when you do diplomatic engagements or bilateral relations, you also sign military accords like the Accord de Coopération that France signed with Republic of Cameroon, excluding the Republic of Southern Cameroon, British Cameroon, or now Ambazonia, in that 1959, which is the foundation on which France gave its colony, French Cameroon, independence. We are now forced to inherit the Accord de Coopération, which has a military clause that says France has a right to enter into Cameroonian affairs with its military force, invited or uninvited. We were never party to that accord. We are now forced to be paying those. And then if we go to the economic part of all of those, we now have a reason why people should see that our diplomatic moves will have to hold people who 64 nations that voted for the independence of British Cameroon, of the Southern or whatever, on April 21st, 1961. And then the conditions that I cited for in the Fumban Constitution were not entered into, and a union treaty was not deposited back at the United Nations Secretariat as required to formalize the federation or confederation. You now have a clear message, a clear reason why you can be diplomatically empowered using existing instruments to speak, why your Defense Department is working to keep a government in force and to execute, to help in the executive branch of that government to do what is necessary. Beloved, we are at the crossroads of elections and post-election violence, crisis. And we see that even in this crisis, the parliament has met. The parliament of French Cameroon is meeting. Do we have to just come and talk here and say, we are bringing a state of anarchy, we are bringing a peaceful permanent solution on the air, where people will come and endorse on the air, and there's no coordinator? There's this program. You are talking about time. If I have more answers, I cannot give them because I'm going to respect your time. If you have more questions, you are not going to exhaust them today. We will take it for our next episode because of time constraints. So there must be moderation, there must be coordination, there must be good governance. The act of self-determination itself has to prove to international community that you are able to govern yourself if you are given the independence. Do we have those state institutions functional within the Republic of Ambazonia? Do we have them completely functional in AGOC or in? So now you can now see with me that we have every reason to use the power of unity, the power of inclusivity to solve our problems without waiting forever.
Okay, thank you so much. In the interest of time, I would have loved to ask some follow-up questions there, but definitely in some episodes we'll want to do that, because there is still a question out there as to how can you have government with no sovereignty? If you have a government without sovereignty, what kind of government is that? Sovereignty means recognition, because anybody can form a government. You can form a government in your bedroom with your wife and kids, right? And call it a country. But is it recognized? So those are some of the other questions we will be talking about in our other shows.
Just hold it there. Just hold it there, Jeff. Jeff, you know, there are two schools of thoughts.
Okay.
When you talk about self-governance or right to self-determination, that is where sovereignty is first of all recognized. Our sovereignty was already recognized. So people fighting in divided ranks do not want to take the pains to understand this. For you to enter into international treaties and so on, sovereignty has been recognized. If not, United Nations will not be deliberating on our issues. It was our sovereign right that was used. It was our government. Even in the international instruments, it is asked that the sovereignty of these two people should be exercised freely, and they should choose to, after independence, get into a confederation. So it was, that is why it is called a restoration quest. What are you restoring? Your sovereignty that has been hijacked. We are not fighting to create a sovereignty, and nobody should deceive another that there is no sovereignty or there was no clue of sovereignty in the 50s. No, there was a clue of sovereignty. There was a fight for sovereignty. That sovereignty was recognized, and by the termination of colonization in 1960, every colony was supposed to automatically gain independence. When we blame our forefathers like the Fonchas and so on, that some of them fell short of actualizing the sovereignty, it doesn't mean that the sovereignty was not engaged or fought for or recognized, beloved. That is the truth. We should clarify things, help people to know. Because if it is not the sovereignty you are recognizing, okay, what is sovereignty? Is that it is a distinct people who have been able to govern themselves, who want to govern themselves, and they have proven that they can govern themselves. And then that is acknowledged, and they are now bringing that one for people now to recognize. And this was already recognized by 64 nations. Those 64 nations still laugh at you today. Do you give independence to one country twice? Do you vote for the independence of one country 2 times? No. So that is why if you are fighting for recognition of your independence, it's different from fighting for independence. And if you are talking about sovereignty, you do not have to miss it. You do not have to discredit others and think that you are the only one who is voicing the word sovereignty. Sovereignty is with the people, like I said earlier, and the people express this, their sovereign right. Even though they were under Britain, they were not imposed. There was a third option. The people still had the right to say, our third option remains the only viable option. We are having independence with no strings attached. If they stayed at that point, nobody would have forced the 2 options. The reason why the 2 options cannot enslave us, cannot cancel our sovereignty, is because we did not sign any treaty, union treaty in the Fumban Conference. And you should say it is a plus for Foncha and not a minus. Because at that time, he was still faced with the antagonism from those that he defeated, from the Endeles camp that he defeated. And so when they were to come in and build that consensus like Dag Hammarskjöld was begging that should be done, this disparity continued to manifest, and Foncha stood alone, was being punctured, and so on. And so they could not craft up that as soon as possible. And so the option of independence before unification, which was generally upheld by the House of Chiefs in the southern British Cameroons, or in the British Cameroons, was dumped. Mbile and Professor P.M. Kale, they followed that one with their own political party. If we do not mention them too much, it's because they did not finally sit at the helm of a government. But these things were articulated. So that meant the sovereignty. Let us help ourselves and help those who are ready to follow, but are confused with this little, coinage or propaganda or whatever. Propaganda has a very little part to play in the reality of any government, but there's no government that operates void of some bit of propaganda. Thank you.
All right, Your Eminence, in the interest of time there, I guess we'll just round it up now. So I just want to thank you for coming to the show and for enlightening our viewers. I'm sure this, again, for our viewers out there, this is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of the journey. So we'll be having many shows like this in which we'll discuss many things, many topics. In some shows, we'll even take questions and be able to answer questions live in the air and all that. We are also going to have some in which we'll have panels. Our next show on Saturday, we are going to have a panel. So please, if you want to know about all things Ambazonia, the place to come is the PPS show. You will not be disappointed, especially when we have people like Your Eminence who are very inclusive. So we'll be having different voices out there that will come and we'll debate, we'll talk in a very friendly, again, it's peaceful, right? Peaceful, permanent solution. So which means we'll be very peaceful here, even in our language, we'll be very respectful, we'll hear different voices, and trust me, at the end of the day, we'll be able to lead our people to freedom in a very, very peaceful way. Other than that, thank you so much, Your Eminence. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, audience. And thank you, my host. It's a pleasure being here. And we trust that we have taken a step further in our sensitization, education of the populace, and many should be connecting and endorsing the peaceful, permanent solution. Because as the currents are blowing, as the tides are changing, so we are closer to the implementation of that peaceful, permanent solution. It is an alliance. Be part of this alliance, and God bless you. Thank you. Till next time, peace.
Thank you, Your Eminence. And for our viewers out there, please subscribe. Anytime you subscribe, it's helpful for us. Hit that notification bell so that when we are coming live or when there's a show we are uploading, it's just going to come to your phone immediately.